And here we are. We're gonna talk about Clifford and what had happened before 2K. Let's get into this.
Well, for starters, it was a nightmare.
For real, good old C6Z06. Alright, so we did a heads cam package. John Simpson's Gen 2 heads cam. And it was real fun. You know, it took us, we did that, in a week and a half?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
And,
after work.
Yeah, after work, just working on it, here and there, figuring out what all we had to do and playing it by ear, getting it done. We changed the oil pan gasket then too, so we had to drop the cradle and all that crap.
Because we're dumb and messed it up.
True, my fault, my bad. We got all that done, and we had a week before 2K, so it was real cool. We were yeah, got plenty of time. We just knocked all this out. We're good to go. We can chill before 2K. And then John dynoed it, and I guess it was his tune or something, but the engine locked down. And so it locked down on Monday after it made 6:30 on the dyno, right?
Yeah, right.
Was
second pull.
6:30 the second pull?
Right.
So way more horsepower than what it had made before, so that was good. Gained a lot of power. But then it wouldn't start. At first, thought it was a hot start thing. Changed the starter, changed the battery, and then we had to change the engine. Not really, but we rebuilt it.
Jay and I went over there Tuesday to see what was going on with it. Like I said, we thought it was a start issue, so we were going over there hoping it was a bad ground or something. And we got there, and it slow cranks. And just the way it slow cranked, you could tell something was hung up. We ended up putting the car in fourth gear, I think, with the belt off of it and the plugs out, pushing it. And he let the clutch out, and it just locked up. So we knew it was hurt. We got it back here Tuesday night, put it on the lift, and just checked the oil out. And it was full of cool glitter. And we cut the filter open, and we knew that one of the bearings was trashed. We didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, really, though.
Let's see, that was Tuesday night. So Wednesday before I went to work, because I was on nights, they were working days. So Wednesday, I pulled the oil pan back off and pulled the bearings off of the rods, or pulled the caps off the rods, and figured out that let's see, 5 and 6?
Yeah.
I think 5 and 6 were spun the bearings. So then we knew that we had to go ahead and pull it all out and get it rebuilt, or rebuild it anyways, because we did it, you can see. But I had pulled it all that way down, so then Wednesday night they finished pulling the engine out, Jay and Cody.
With the help of Shannon as well.
And
Yeah.
Galen.
And Galen.
Yeah, good old team effort.
Yep.
And then let's see, Thursday would have been whenever I pulled the heads off and took it to the machine shop. Had to go to Odessa for that. Chris Morgan, thanks for the hookup on that.
Yeah, we appreciate you getting me in so quick.
We let's see, we had to have the crank turned, and then also the block had to be line bored and checked out. I think that's all that we did to that, right? He put new cam bearings in.
Right. Yeah.
And then he got us some new bearings for it, got us some new rods, because what had happened was the rods were rubbing together, and they're titanium.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, well, love a little bit of rod rubbing. Anywho, so that got all the metal in there and pumped it through the bearings, and that's what made it spin. We ended up spinning 2 rods and 1 main bearing. So after we got we took it there Thursday. So Friday he called us, and he had done it overnight. Got the block ready, the crank, all that. So I went back and picked it up Friday morning, and I was off Friday night. So we took it to the shop and kind of cleaned it up and started measuring everything, and then figured out that we needed 4 more rods and we needed different main bearings because we had way too much clearance on the mains. The rods were okay, or the rod bearing clearance anyways was okay, but we had figured out that 4 more of the rods had rubbed and started to show signs of wear, so we couldn't put that back in there because they just fell really soon again.
Right, because we picked up 2 from Chris, right?
Yeah, we got 2 the first time from
Originally,
Chris.
yep.
And then we had 4 more. Was it 4 more bad ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to get Lewis at
G-Speed.
Yeah. He gave us 2 more from Dallas, and we also had to get some bearings from Summit also. So Cody's dad, he was coming through Dallas anyways, so he picked up the bearings and rods and brought them all the way here to Big Spring Saturday. And then, you went to Odessa, right, Cody?
Yeah, I went to Odessa Sunday morning to pick up 2 more rods because we got less than we thought we were gonna get.
That was Saturday morning, dog.
Saturday morning, right?
Yeah, because we had to get all the parts Saturday. So Saturday I worked days, and then so I got off at like 5:30, and whenever I went to the shop, we had all the parts and everything, and that's whenever this video, like all the fast forward stuff, actually starts right then, because we had to check everything again, check the let's see. At the first, I was filing new rings because we put new rings on it, and then after that, I checked the bores of all the bearings. I checked the bores of the block for the pistons. Checked all the pistons to make sure they fit right. All the clearances were good. We had to get those other bearings to tighten up the crank clearances because they were like 4 thou or something like that. Way too much. So we ended up with like a little over 3 on one of them, and the rest of the rods were around 3 thou. And then let's see, we're putting it all here together right now. The crank's going in, and then we start putting pistons in and all that. After you got to measure everything and then clean everything. They had already cleaned the block. They cleaned all the pistons, everything like that. Here in a little bit, I don't know if you can kind of tell because we put the valley cover on, and then you see us put it on again later. So what had happened is whenever we're putting the cam in, it was way too hard to spin. Like you couldn't spin it by hand whenever you got it all the way in there. So the bearings were touching the cam, zero clearance somewhere. So we used an old school method. Probably shouldn't have done it, but it worked out because it's still running. And we took an old cam, just a junk one, and cut it at an angle to where you can slide it in there and spin it, and it'll cut the bearings. So any high spot on the bearing will get trimmed off, and then you can spin it backwards kind of and clean it up a little bit. So we did that for a while until you could put the cam in there and spin it easy, and then we kind of like blew the block out, and we did it upside down, that way any metal would have fell out, kind of made sure there wasn't any metal anywhere else, and then put it back together again. But yeah, that was kind of sketch. We ran into a lot of problems.
It was a time crunch, so we had to finish it.
Yeah, like this was Saturday night. I still had to work Sunday, and I worked Monday.
Yep.
So we ended up getting this whole engine done Saturday night, built all ready to go. And then Sunday we put it in and fired it up. And then Monday we finished up like with everything else. And then Tuesday loaded on the trailer and went to Houston. And then we had to tune it in Houston.
Right.
That was fun because we had put a new standalone.
Right.
Put a new standalone on it from Nitrous Express? Nitrous Outlet. So we hadn't even used that at all either. So we didn't know if that was going to work or not. And it ended up working, so that was cool. I mean, of course, it was really expensive, so it should work. I guess it wasn't that bad. It was really good fabrication, so that was cool. Y'all got anything else to say? I've been talking this whole time.
You're really good.
Let's get some words in.
He's a good talker.
Yeah.
I don't like hearing myself talk.
At the end of the day, we took a LS7 that was locked up on Tuesday, and within a week, we put almost all new rods in it, got it back from the machine shop, turned the crank, got it back together, took it to Houston, tuned the nitrous, and it did work all week in Houston and beat a lot of cars that made way more power than it.
That's the cool thing, man. Clifford's just a gangster, especially with Jade driving. Like,
Driver mod.
for real. She just runs. Right here's where we're putting the cam in. Notice all that? Yeah, we're like, ooh, I don't know about that. Gosh dang. What do you have to say, Jay?
Well, not much. It was a great experience.
It sucked ass.
Yeah, it did suck, but I had some good homies helping me, so a lot of people came through and helped me out in the short time that I needed everything. Especially John, Chris, Lewis out of Dallas, Cody's dad. Everybody came through.
Yo, Mike came through with the food too. That was what's up. Although it was just for me, but still, I like that.
Hey, that's all right.
You were working the most.
He was sucking the butts right out of his car.
Yo, I don't suck it, dude. I pull it out.
That's
and then
not
I
what I heard.
God dang.
But yeah, overall the car ran good in Houston. We're a little worried about it, but we upped the shot on it, of course, and
Car ran good.
yeah, it ran good. If it was gonna
I don't know
blow
what
up,
to
it
do
was
with my
gonna blow up. We don't care. So, but it seems to still be running.
Yeah,
For
it's
now.
running still good. Got good oil pressure still.
Yeah,
Running some 2050 in it.
yeah, I think it's like 90 weight, but
Got rear end fluid in the engine. Engine fluid in the
Yeah.
rear end. No fluid in the trans.
the trans is probably on its way out, so that'll be the next thing we pull.
Oh,
For sure.
wouldn't be the first time we pulled it either.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Look at that Fox body back in the background.
I don't want to talk about it.
It was a whole bunch of no sleep and
For
a
real,
lot of late nights, that's for sure.
this
Especially
night
for
right
Michael.
here. Yeah, this night right here. Let's see, it was daylight savings time that night, I guess, or whatever. You know.
Oh, it was
so
too.
yeah, we went home at like 1:30. All of a sudden, boom, it's 2:30. I got to get up at 4:30. I was like, man, this really sucks, but we did what we did. I survived. Plant didn't blow up, so we're good.
It probably only ran as good as it does because the immaculate job Jay and I did cleaning everything.
You did. Look at
That
you.
and
right
whenever
there.
we took the crankshaft out, man, I mean, it came out within seconds.
Yeah, let's just say we're super pleased there was not a GoPro on hand while me and him struggled with the bottom end of that.
Look at them painted head gaskets reused.
That's all right. I mean,
Just kidding.
It's
We're
proven.
good. For real. We done it before. Me on my phone, typical. What are we doing here? Cleaning the heads? Fixing to put them on? It's probably like midnight right
yeah,
now.
we blew everything out with what? What did we get from Napa? Some
Oh shit, what's
Just
this?
like
I can't
parts cleaner,
remember.
salt
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget what they.
naphtha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something crazy. It's like Steven with a PH.
Yeah, we made sure you cleaned everything real good. real good. You should have seen us with the torque wrench too, man. We tried to use a fancy one, and I don't know how to work it, so
Yeah,
we just
shout
ended
out
up
to
putting it
Ryan
back.
for that one as well.
Yeah, we did use it for the balancer bolt because that's got to be torqued really high. So
Well, you know, that was the first time whenever we
Yeah, whenever we
put
did the heads cam?
Yeah, the heads cam, and then I mean he was cool enough to let us use it anyway. But I mean, wasn't planning on it, but we weren't really planning on any of that to happen.
for real.
John calls me. He says, "Man, I think your battery's bad." You know, so I argue with AutoZone in Odessa, saying that my buddy's gonna come pick it up, this and that. And they weren't having it, so I just told John that he was me, I guess, and I'll be in Odessa in like 10 minutes. They still did the battery exchange, and the car still didn't start. So
Did he put a starter on it, right?
Yep.
yeah, he put a
Yeah.
starter on it as well.
Him and all the dust in. I don't know if Dustin really did anything.
Yeah, I don't think Dustin touched
That's,
it on
that's probably why it locked up, Dustin.
Dustin Dalton.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's probably the one that sabotaged it.
Yeah, I bet so.
Them Louisiana guys, man. There's
He was
something
like, my
else.
CTSV went down. Have this, Clifford.
Yeah.
What the hell's a CTSD?
I said CTSV, didn't I?
I don't know.
Did I? Oh, I don't know.
Maybe.
One of them cataracts.
They ride alligators up there in the swamp. They're crazy over there in Louisiana.
When we were down in Houston data logging it, John was on Team Viewer on HB Tuners, and he said based on the injector duty cycle down in Houston, it was probably making around 640 the tire. And what did it make on the dyno the week before? The dyno?
On Allen's dyno, it made
Before the heads cam.
Right.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah. Before the heads cam, it made 567, I believe, on Allen's dyno.
So after the heads cam package, it went from 567 to 640 to the tire. So
Roughly, yeah, 630, 640 ish. But
Which is wild because this car was hanging with a lot of cars that were claiming above 600 horsepower on motor. Like
Yeah,
600, 630, 620, whatever. It was hanging right there with them.
And for everybody that doesn't know, it wasn't a stock cam car before. It had fixed heads.
and his
Yeah, they weren't
John's
ported yet.
custom cam.
Right, it had fixed heads, but John's
It did have a big cam still.
yeah, one of John's
Gen
custom
1.
spec cams, which it made dumb power on that, and to see the increase that it made with his Gen 2 and the heads was nuts. It runs dumb good.
Yeah, it's pretty fast, I guess. I mean, for an LS engine. It does love that spray though.
Yeah, it does. It's hooked on it. Another thing that was kind of a pain in the ass was getting that stab back in and made it back up.
Yeah, for real. We have like probably an hour and a half of video right here, but I cut a lot of it out. That way it didn't make us look like total retards.
Yeah, for anybody that's fixing to pull your engine in a C6, go ahead and just do it from the bottom and save yourself all the trouble of pulling it out the top.
Yeah, this was wild. But we got it done.
Yeah.
It's not undoable.
I lost my air conditioner somewhere in the process.
Yeah. We don't know where that went, but
Lost
he's
a
got
few
windows.
bearings, but so far everything's good.
And here's the startup. You got it in neutral now? Because it was in sixth. Alright, bet.
Clutch feel okay?
Yeah. Oh god.
Can we do it a few times or not?
Yeah.
If I didn't have 19 CDs in here, they wouldn't all plug.
You good on that side? We're all clear on the
Yeah, let me see that. Fill it.
The balance
Flashlight. Not that one.
Sorry, I don't know what's happening.
We're clear on the bouncer?
Yeah.
Ready? No leak?
I don't see any.
Well, how many seconds do I need to shut her off if she ain't got none?
Like 30 seconds.
You should have some right away.
Okay. Yep.
They're real quick.
There we go.
Let her rip.